episode of Harmonized Sounds, we have in Old Bear Studios a good friend of ours, Ed Chilungu. Ed is a classically trained jazz musician. He's a piano player. It's very different than what we normally go after. It's all instrumental with some field recording behind it. All of these songs have specific meanings for people that he wrote them for, from anywhere from a friend who passed away to other fellow musicians that he went to college with who have inspired his life. Ed struggles with schizophrenia and uses music as an outlet to help express himself in his mental illness. And it's just a beautiful project, a great expression, and something that I feel like is just a breath of fresh air to the music that we've been creating here at Old Bear.
Ed is definitely like a genius on the piano. The things that he does, the chord inversions and things that he adds. And so for me, it's been kind of a couple years of like, how do we record Ed? How do we put his head on an album and bring out the best of what he does? We allow Ed to kind of do his thing almost in free time. We didn't do a lot of it. We didn't do any of it to the click. And then guys that could just match what Ed does, because anytime I've tried to put Ed on a click, it stifles whatever sort of things that he throws in as he's just playing naturally, and the kind of the surprises that he throws in along the way. And so it's kind of like, I've heard recordings that he's done and just wasn't really, it's like one of those people that, and you've heard other jazz musicians talk about how hard it is to kind of record something. You kind of have to capture it live. So we try to take that approach of like catching what he's doing on the piano and accentuating it with other instruments.
Nowadays, with technology being what it is and with the capabilities of what you can do in the studio, a lot of the pace then tends to be, all right, let's just get a bunch of this, chop it up, do that, and you kind of, it's cool and it's convenient for a lot of purposes, but oftentimes with that approach you end up losing a sort of organic imperfection along the way. Yeah, it warps here a little bit, but that's what it is. And then even drumming along to it, it becomes a lot more, I was telling them earlier, a lot of that freeness is, I find it to be almost intuitive. Like it was easier than I thought to like match where he's picking up and kind of lay back where he's laying back, and it makes for a really, really cool dynamic when the pieces start coming together, and the more you add to it, the more the flow starts seeming very, organized.
So I always loved playing the piano when I was younger. It wasn't until I got to college, though, that I had some serious life-changing experiences. I went to SUNY Purchase College in 2003. Let me go back. 2001. I graduated in 2003, but I transferred from the University of Buffalo, went to SUNY Purchase, and moved there a week before September 11th, 2001. Always my dream to become a concert pianist, and then I'm in my glory. I'm like gonna study piano. I don't know the Lord at the time. I'm not a believer in Christ, and I'm there for a week enjoying school. I think we were in Manhattan the day before September 11th, and then I'm in class the next day, and someone just comes in, oh, a plane just went in the towers, and everyone's like kind of ignored her. They didn't even really hear what she said. We didn't really know what happened. But then when we came outside, you realize it was like this huge tragedy. So a few months later, to be specific, it was around this time of year that we're taking this video. It was Palm Sunday, and I grew up going to Catholic school, so I remembered Palm Sunday. And on Palm Sunday, I played a concert for a billionaire with my teacher, my piano teacher, and it was for a scholarship. We played a concert, and I came home, and I had been practicing 15 hours a day for a couple weeks, and I was getting kind of delirious because I was putting so much of my effort into this music. I wasn't sleeping that much, and on Palm Sunday, I come home, and I'm writing in my journal after I play this concert, and I hear this small voice, this thought just goes through my mind, and I hear son of Simeon. My dad's name is Simeon. This voice said, "Son of Simeon, do not be afraid and live a clean life." I remember just thinking, what was that all about? Was that God? The next day I had kind of like a nervous breakdown, paranoid break, where I thought terrorists were going to attack our school again. I think partly brought on into the stress of the time that I was living there, and also just practicing so much and not sleeping. One EMT or police officer took my hand and said, "Eddie, I'm with you." And as soon as he touched my hand and said that, I felt like a large weight and darkness just lift off of me, and I immediately knew there was a God.
We would start each session with Ed would go in and would lay things down, and he's the kind of guy who like send you a demo of something and then he forgets how he did the demo overnight, which doesn't happen to a lot of people, but to Ed it happens. But somehow his magic is in just being, if you can take me where I'm at right now and try to capture what I've got going on today with my new pair of jeans on, then you're gonna get something really awesome out of me. And I think we kind of learned really quickly that like he would show up in sessions, lay down a demo, and somehow the chord voicings would change overnight, but somehow it was like, okay, well, is this the version of Ed we're gonna get today? Awesome. And so he would lay it down, and instead of being us producing it, trying to like make him fit into what he did yesterday, kind of going with where he's at today with it. And somehow something really beautiful would happen. He's the only guy I've ever worked with that works in a 2-take increment, where if you don't get it in 2 takes, it's not happening. And it's really true, because after the 2 takes, it goes downhill real quick, where his inspiration just isn't there anymore. I felt like we finally captured something that gets Ed, and I've known Ed my whole life, and we've known him a long time. And you know, like we said, the way he approaches the piano is very genius in a lot of ways. So we wanted to figure out how to accentuate that in these different songs. You don't set out making a record knowing exactly what it's going to become, but you kind of enjoy the journey and you kind of surrender to where it goes. And I'm just really happy with what the result has been in that surrendering and just seeing where it's going to go.
I look at music as like one of the things I can do to feel God's presence I've retained that, like I said, when I heard God speak to me, still to this day God speaks to me, and I, not only through reading the Bible, listening to the Bible, but also just, conversating and spending time talking in prayer to God. God also encouraged me, and one of the things that he always would say is worship him and play music for him and sing to him. And I haven't always been the best at it sometimes, at doing it, like staying true to always remembering it, but it brings God's presence in, and also just creates an atmosphere around me where I feel free, and I can hear clearly or see clearly what God is trying to show me or comfort me. Because usually when I hear God, it's always a comforting. There's a lot of comfort coming from hearing God.